Welcome to a long-awaited journey through the sands of time with my political friend. He's a commentator on Fox News, Adam.
Dude, I'll take that fucking gig.
You want Fox News?
No, not Fox News. But if they asked me to do like those if they asked me to be on it, I would go on for sure.
CNN?
I'd go on CNN too for sure.
Would you host it though?
No.
The View?
No, I would go on The View.
You don't like it where everyone tested for COVID right after the mid-show, like you don't get your results right afterwards or like mid-show, like, oh, two of you actually tested positive for COVID. Then they end up printing out an article saying it was just a hoax. They were just trying to do something to boost views. They actually tested negative. And it's like, good job.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that for a second.
What?
They for sure tested positive.
They didn't. They tested negative, but the way that they said it was supposed to be some type of like thing to spike up their ratings, which I don't think The View would end up saying something like that, but I don't know.
I don't know. It all seems shady to me, honestly.
Would you prefer I introduce you like he's a stand-up comedian? He's got his microphone, but without the stand. So it's like he's performing on stage. He's going to tell us a joke, funny man.
Yeah. Two Jews walking to no.
Oh my God. Yeah, I mean, we did a recording and then that recording Zoom ended up messing up. So hopefully this one gets saved on here. But yeah, we never really talk about comedy when you're on the show, and you're a profound stand-up comedian. You have you sign a bunch of people's heads.
I do. Dicks, balls.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Well, do you just ask them to pull it out and they'll do it?
It's already out. I don't have to ask.
You know what? I was rewatching that old Scooby-Doo movie, and they had these guys. I guess it's Buffy the Vampire Slayer is who plays in the Daphne version on the actual movie, but a bunch of guys were like lifting their shirt ups. We got tattoos of you, and then like show them. And I've seen that in like a Miley Cyrus like reaction video where like people are freaking out over Miley Cyrus, and I never got the hype. I was like, who would be like a 40-year-old guy loving Miley Cyrus? And then I listened to her songs and I got really into it, and I was like, I could see it.
Yeah, usually the answer is pedophiles though.
Really?
Pedophile. Dude, anytime a young teenage girl is making a headway into fucking,
she's like in her 30s.
No, you said before when she first started.
No, I was talking about like now.
Oh, I thought you meant like when she was like Hannah Montana.
I mean, two for the price of one. I don't know.
Sure.
What you
Two birds, one stone. No, I thought you were referencing like creepy old dudes. Like when she first was like a kid and they were like, I'm a Hannah Montana fan. It's like some 42-year-old. I'm like, are you?
Well, I think she's the best case of someone that has made it out of stardom at such a young age and not have anything completely wrong with her.
No, but she's had her own like mental health things.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're on the Disney Channel.
No, I don't. Yeah, it's crazy how
like heroin and shit.
Dude, like I always think about that, like to navigate stardom like that at like 17 years old, I would be dead. Like I wouldn't have been able to do it. My brain wouldn't be able to handle it. I could handle it now as like a 35 almost year old. You know what I'm saying?
That's why they have those cases of like kids whose parents like don't let them have their money until they're above the age of 18. I'm like, that's a good thing to do, but then eventually you get some like slimy, creepy, shadowy, I guess, manager that comes up and goes, you know, you have more money than your parents do and they need you, right? So you can run the shots. And they're like, oh my God, I want a T-Rex. And like, no, son, you can't have a T-Rex. I'm getting a fucking T-Rex, or I'm going to send you to Africa. And you're like, oh my God. And then you realize
the Twilight Zone.
Yeah. It's like then the power of the parents gone and now the child is running the show.
Well, or you could get Macaulay Culkin parents and just steal your money.
Now, the worst thing out of Macaulay Culkin's family is the fact that his brother was famous before he was, but nobody remembers what his brother was in. His brother was probably in one of the best movies of all time.
Signs?
Yes.
Right. But Macaulay Culkin was way more famous before Signs came out, guy.
I'm telling you now, it was the Signs first. I was watching Signs. I was like, that kid looks like Macaulay Culkin. And then I look up his name and I see his last name.
Home Alone came out in 94. Are you fucking crazy?
What? Didn't Signs come out in like 2000?
Right. So how would his older brother not be more famous than his younger brother?
Because no one gave a shit about the first Home Alone. They only cared about the second one when Donald Trump was in there and he was shaking hands.
What are you doing? He's in a lobby at a hotel.
Well, where's the front desk? Right over there. Thanks, man. It's like this big, glorious moment. People called that a right-wing movie because he was in it.
but people are retarded. So I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, they also made fun of the Joker, which I'm not. I didn't know it got that bad reviews. Like, did you
It
know?
didn't get bad reviews. Woke idiots gave it. They called it right wing fucking like Proud Boy propaganda, and it's like, nah, it's the story of the Joker for I don't know since the 40s.
But that's literally what stopped it from being nominated for like one of those Emmys or Oscars. The actors did, but not the movie itself.
Hollywood is garbage.
It's owned by China.
China's garbage too. They're on the verge of fucking a serious economic collapse.
I don't think so.
No, their biggest bank is folding right now. That's why they just banned Bitcoin and stuff.
Okay. Yeah, I saw that they banned Bitcoin, but I think the most thing that's in focus right now is that there's a thing called red COVID. You ever hear about that?
Is that Chinese COVID or Russian COVID?
No, I thought it was Red Dawn when I saw it trending. I was like, oh my God, is it like being attacked? And then I looked it up and it was like apparently more blue states are vaccinated than red states. So now they're like the red states are going to kill us. So now it's like now we get to see the true divisiveness of like what this whole entire giant ploy of unvax versus vax is.
It's so wild how this, I mean, I don't know how much we can say without getting pulled, but like, well, this is a fact, right? So the vaccine, this is true.
Don't say it.
Debatable.
If it has to do anything with spread, don't say it.
Well, I don't know how to say this then.
We're just gonna skip over that. We'll put a peg in it and come back. We'll circle back around.
Hold on, wait, let me think about it.
That's what I get nervous about, though.
Let me think about it. The vaccine.
Hold on. This you think about it real quick. This is important to this conversation. So Texas, the governor has just now issued a thing against social medias trying to reduce conservative censorship, which is what we're dealing with when we say we can't talk about this, we can't say this, we have to try and find a way around it. The Texas governor has just spoken out about it, and they're trying to pass a bill that stops these things from using censorship on what they deem as censors. And I think people, like for me, for instance, censorship as content producers as we are, it's an issue because then you're limited on the things that you can say, which I think we're both pro freedom of speech. But I think it's just because the machine's fucked up. Like you didn't plan the algorithm correctly. Like you plan the algorithm to knock out certain keywords, and then the thing kept going and going and realizing that it's not actually taking harmful stuff out. Now it's just taking anything that just includes those words. You need to moderate and fix the algorithm machine, and it can't just be biased to your fucking narrative.
Well, yeah, well, it always comes down to biasness, right? From the tech companies. I mean, they're in bed with the government. By the way, we veered off comedy immediately. I want to point out that was not my fault. That was your fault.
I can't fucking help it. Whenever you're on, I just think politics.
I just want to point out I was going down a comedy route, and you veered. Now I'm going to go into politics.
Because I've seen more Porcupine than I've seen of your comedy shit.
Come to a show. I have so many shows coming up.
I never got a ticket.
Wait a minute. How far are you from Fairfax? For real? Virginia.
Nova Scotia? Oh,
no, Virginia.
I was like, fuck. I don't know. Probably like
Canada first.
2.5 hours away.
Oh, all right.
Why don't you just do a comedy show in Ocean City?
I don't know anybody in Ocean City.
You know me. I can get you.
That's it.
We'll get you on the boardwalk.
Oh, great. I'll perform for you and the Seagulls, bro. And the homeless guy's trying to stab me for my fucking shit joke that he does not gonna
put a little tin cup out and just be like, he's telling jokes, folks.
Tinfoil hat, tin cup.
If you tip him $10 more, he'll go political on you.
Yeah, right. You guys want to hear about my libertarian stuff? No, so the vaccine doesn't help with the SP. Or you know how to spell the rest of that word.
What the fuck did we just say like 2 minutes ago?
I'm not saying it.
Okay.
I'm saying I'm leading everybody down a path of what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
And we all know it doesn't help with that. And we also know it doesn't
conspiratorial lies.
We also know it doesn't actually stop you from getting it, right? So the fact that people are saying the unvaccinated are killing, it's like, well, no. In fact, most cases of COVID are with vax patients.
Okay. Do you want to go back to the comedy thing? I don't feel comfortable, and I feel like the video is just going to get taken.
No, I didn't say anything. That's a true statement, though. That's not anything. I didn't say anything not true.
Well, how's it been since we last chatted?
Busy.
Busy what? Guy. Comedy?
No, just just podcasting and just life stuff. Just fucking, running around with the wife and dog and shit like that. Trying to fucking
writing jokes.
Trying to write jokes. I have a busy month of comedy coming up.
It's probably a good thing to like. I've been trying to stay off social media. Been painting painting my ass off, man, making some fucking happy trees and some blurry ass mountains. But I'm having fun with it. And I think taking the break from the whole social media endeavor, because I think at this point everyone's starting to get really, really fed up with just the political stuff. And I'm starting to see what Twitter's roots are, which is just nothing but politics. And it's really affecting, like, for instance, like, Anthony Cumia. A lot of people fucking hate that guy. And I'm like, why? And they're like, did you not see all this stuff? And they start going off about like all this stuff. I'm like, but have you ever heard him talk? Have you ever looked into the things that he does when he talks about radio and broadcasting and doing a show and just joking around and having fun? It's like, isn't the whole point is just to be able to, talk and not they worry about censorship probably more than anybody, but they're so big it's hard to censor.
Yeah, well, Kumi has always been a fucking edgelord, like in a funny way. I mean, Kumi is one of the funniest fucking motherfuckers out there who's a non-comic, easily. I mean, I grew up on O&A. Like that's what O&A is one of the reasons that I got into comedy. So like,
do you prefer the dog room type thing that they do, which is like kind of like a mosh pit of like jokes flying back and forth, even if it might be hurtful to someone that you might be insulting, even though it's comedy, for instance. Like, I wouldn't just make fun of you for something that you're wearing because that would just be mean. But then that's kind of how their whole thing runs on like a dog scrap.
But like that's how friends, like that's how guy friends hang out. Like I've grew up that my way my whole life is busting your balls of people you love, is like being like, your fucking shirt's stupid.
Thank you.
Like I do it with Neil every fucking time I see him.
I don't know, that to me just, I don't think I enjoy it. I just don't think I could be like involved in that. You know what I mean?
But there's a difference. You don't have to be involved. Like if you, no. So if you try to dish it out and then you get it back and you're like, I don't like it. Well, then yeah, don't fuck around with us. But like if you just don't want to fuck, if you don't want to be involved and just like enjoy like a laugh, then yeah, you can stay on the sidelines. No one's gonna bust your balls if you're just hanging out. Like, but if you're engaging, then yeah, for sure, get ready for some shots your way.
But now translate that to social media.
Okay, but same thing.
The people that are bullied are now doing the bullying.
Right.
So like, you start to see what it is. Like there used to be people that you knew that were like, oh shit, they had like,
oh, I get it, what you're saying.
There used to be people that you knew that had this sense of like, oh yeah, they're just kind of like they're a little bit rough jokers, or they play some hard jokes. They're kind of those types of people. But now it's like you don't know who those people are, and now the people that are actually doing the worst amount of damage are the ones you wouldn't think would be those types. And now you're starting to realize that I think they're kind of like disguise of like how you couldn't tell if somebody's crazy, like how I have a method of checking for a guest for the podcast to tell if they're insane or not, which is usually by like the glasses that they wear or their type of eyes that they have. Usually you can tell there's like this type of like, oh, she would murder you in your sleep, or he would murder you, that type of vibe.
Yeah, it's like a sixth sense.
Yeah,
the people, I get it. Yeah, well, it's also interesting, like it's always about politics. Fuck. But it's like
we'll go back to comedy at one point.
No. But no. I just mean like kind of everything does circle around politics, because like the people online who bully the loudest are usually the fucking self-proclaimed woke lefty people, and they're like the biggest bullies online.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, for sure, because I'm engaged in a lot of political shit because of what else I do. So like, yeah, comedy is only half of it, but the other half is like I'm pretty involved in the Libertarian Party and stuff like that. So like I'm involved in politics a lot. Dude, I just tweeted out. This might piss people off, but I don't really care. Meghan McCain quote tweeted her mother. No, Liz Cheney. I'm sorry.
Wait, are you sure it wasn't Bush? I saw the thing, and you commented fire symbols.
No, that's what I'm getting to. So Meghan McCain quote tweeted Liz Cheney's picture of Bush, and Liz Cheney wrote something about Bush, about he's like a good president, which isn't true. But like,
what do you mean Bush wasn't a good president? Bush was amazing. We did so many great things. We invaded a country for 20 years and we lost it all.
Two countries.
Even better, double the price.
So Meghan McCain retweeted Liz Cheney's tweet with a bunch of fire emojis. I quote tweeted her fire emoji tweet saying, why are you telling us what your dad sees? Because her dad's probably in hell because he's a piece of shit. And, people are like, that's fucking, dude, he murdered millions of people. He sacrificed thousands of American lives for literally he knew was a lie. By the way, also, I was in Vietnam. Do you know he left his men behind in the POW camp?
Oh, I know what I wanted to fucking talk to you about now.
Fuck him. Anyway, go ahead.
JFK.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah.
We always talk about this and we're like, oh, we'll talk about it next episode. We're talking about this. JFK. Who's in your mind? Who is probably the best president? Because I was listening to something with
I
Ronald
mean,
Reagan this
Calvin
morning.
Coolidge, honestly.
Wow. Okay. Didn't think you're going to toss him. Can you name somebody that like fucking got a penny or a quarter or something?
No.
Okay.
My second, he's probably the best, but my favorite is Teddy Roosevelt because he was a cool guy. He's like a badass.
Yeah, he got one of his eyes disconnected from boxing.
Yeah, you know, he's a bad. He has that picture of him riding a bull moose is fucking sick.
He was played by Robin Williams in Night at the Museum.
Yes.
But Ronald Reagan said
Both
that.
dead. Yeah.
Ronald Reagan said that a temporary government is a permanent government. And I thought that was, right. I think he got on the cusp of a lot of things. Now he did go batshit insane towards the ending, like when he finally got out of
president, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, he got out of presidency. There's a story about his wife said he just came home from working at the office after he was president. He got a normal job. He came home and he had a White House that you would get in a fish tank, and he had it in his hand. And she was like, what's that in your hand? He's like, this has something to do with me. Like, that's when he was slowly like fucking losing his shit.
Crazy.
But JFK, Illuminati? What? Like, come on.
Not
what
Illuminati.
are we talking about? No.
Probably the mafia or the CIA.
But he had a plan, Operation Northwoods, of blowing up an airline.
No, he didn't. He actually stopped it. He actually said no to it.
But they were going to blame it on Cuba.
Yeah, well, it's called false flag operations. Hey, welcome to everything that's happened to us ever.
So why are these labeled as conspiracy theories when they're not?
Because that's to get you off. That's to make this. So okay, so the word conspiracy theorist, that phrase,
conspiring theory.
Yes, but it was actually kind of radicalized by the CIA in the 60s after the JFK assassination to throw people off the trail of truth to make them sound crazy. So people be like, that's weird, right? Like, how did he die that way? And people and they were like, nah, you're crazy. That's a conspiracy theorist. He got shot by Lee Harvey Oswald. We figured it out already. Like, you're crazy. That's true. That's not a conspiracy in itself. You can look that up. So like, that's a thing that the CIA did to make you sound crazy. And then it gets statist and normie dumb fucks to also go along with it. Because all they have to do is radicalize your fellow friends and family. They don't have to do it. All they have to do is turn your fellow partner, brother, sister, wife, husband against you. And that's how they set everything off emotion.
Well, if I was going to ask you, what have you noticed that you can't really unsee through the world of politics or through the world in general, that is like a way of keeping people divisive or kind of brainwashing you in a way? Like, for instance, I started to notice
COVID, number one. That's the quickest.
What's wrong with COVID?
Well, I can't talk about it.
Okay.
The vax and unvax stuff. I mean, all of it. The closing of businesses down. It's not closing. I mean, it literally split a divide of people who are psychotic and normal thinking people.
Do you think, like for me, what I've noticed is the words that people use. There are certain key words, especially like if you can best see it probably when you're talking to someone that you really don't, that is not like intelligent in a way, like maybe talking to me, for instance. Like eventually I might insert some large words, but I know what those large words mean. But I think we've both been in conversations where you've heard people say something where they don't know what the words are, but they're just throwing a lot of large words in a sentence to cover the fact that they don't fucking know. Why does lockdown and quarantine, they're the same exact thing, but one seen as a good act and one seen as a harmful act? I started to notice that everything that I'm seeing when I see CNN, and CNN has to put black female killed. It's like, why do you got, I don't get it. Is the wording right in that? I don't think the wording's right in that. Or maybe I said it the correct way and it was actually written the wrong way, but the way they wrote it was female, black, whatever killed. And I was like, but why are you doing it that way? You're highlighting certain aspects that, society is going to get outraged about quicker than actually listening to the full story. And it turns out that actually she was killed by a cop because she was trying to kill somebody else. And you start to realize, like, you're clickbaiting. Is this just a factor of the media has made everything so clickbaity that now it's kind of fucked up every single thing following it now, and now we're getting the comeuppance of it? Or
well, it has to do with that. It has to do with ratings and media. Also, every news company is owned by like the same four companies. So like every everything's the same. And Operation Mockingbird is a very real thing that happened in the 50s and still happens today. I mean, that's when the CIA infiltrated the media, the American media. And I've heard reports of what's the dude from CNN, the main fucking the guy who runs it. I can't think of his fucking name now.
Don't ask me.
Zimmer something, right? Whatever. That dude, like, apparently he gets on the phone every morning with someone in the CIA. Is like, what do we talk about? What's on the agenda? Not just him, but like Fox too, like all of them, like they all do it.
Like, so for instance, like how many people, like we saw Jim Brewer not too long ago come out and everyone was giving him shit saying the dude failed after half, and people were talking shit on him. He's not necessarily wrong. I do think he did go a little bit to the extreme with it, but I guess he's trying to he kind of looked at the end rather than where we're at.
Well, how do you go to the extreme with it?
More like screaming and talking about you don't understand how fucking confused you all. As soon as I see any video, and every video that does involve this is one person who's taking a selfie way too fucking close where you see half their goddamn nose and in their eye, and they're saying you need to wake up, wake up. I'm like, look, I get what you're saying and I get what you're trying to, I guess, incite or talk about, because this is an issue. There are some things where I'm like, why, how can you not fucking see this? Am I controlled? Because I can see it clearly. But then a lot of people are going, what are you fucking talking about? And I'm like, what? Like Bohemian Grove. I've talked to many people about that, and they're all like, what are you fucking talking about? And it's like, am I in some other dimension? You guys are in a different one. But you start to realize, like, I just think it needs to be done properly. You can't tell people that they're fucking stupid, they need to wake up. And you can't say that people are conspiracy theorists. You need to find a happy middle ground, which is just letting people express themselves and then talking about these situations that occur.
I think a lot. I think from Brewer's perspective, it's probably frustration.
Yeah,
I get it too, because you have guys like him, me, you, who this whole time, again, I gotta be careful what I say, but like this whole fucking time, I've been like, am I the only one seeing this? Like, you just look around, you go, but like, this is bullshit. That's bullshit. That's a lie. That's not true. That's a lie. Now we don't have stores. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it literally goes like that. Dude, the minute they said we have to go into 2 weeks, I said, we're fucked. We are fucked. 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 I knew it the second they said we're shutting shit down. I was like, this is the Patriot Act part 2. This is 9/11 part 2. I called it. Asked my fucking wife. I said it together on my living room floor with her watching the fucking news. I looked over. I was like, we're fucked. This is 9/11 part 2 for us. That's all it is.
it was kind of like when you saw those rioters in Staten Island that were protesting the whole. I think we're seeing that everywhere now. Like, it's not just our nation.
Don't bring up my home place of trash.
Well, I'm saying it's not the only place that's protesting over this stuff. It's a lot of people that are protesting. A lot of people are standing their ground on it. And then it seems like the people like Fauci, where you couldn't even talk about the lab for so long, and now you can, and is being looked to, was proven to lie. And then
That's what I think about him. He should be fucking.
Well, what did Psaki say? Psaki was like, no, we don't have any plans for, he's a scientist. So if he was wrong, he was wrong. We just move past it from there. I'm like, yo, but he just threw the whole fucking world into this more divisiveness, is what I'm seeing now. And I think the only solution is by maybe dominating the media market as people. We need to liberate that and make that an open platform for all. Like, the thing best I like about Anthony Cumia is that he doesn't hide behind a paywall. Everything he does is on his own. It's his own network, its own everything. So he can say whatever the hell he wants. Same thing with Alex Jones. Now, do I think he's right on everything he says? Not really, but I think he has a good point in the fact that he can say whatever the fuck he has to want to say, because you're starting to see more now with people that have a platform or people that are monetized or all these types of things compared to someone who isn't. Someone who isn't, who's doing their say me and you just started a podcast right now. We fucking should. We really should. But me and you just started a brand new podcast, and we just came out and we were saying a bunch of crazy shit, and we didn't care if the video got taken down. Now compare that freedom of thought and freedom of talking to now you're getting paid. And now you're on a platform that is now, you have a lot of subscribers, say 200,000. Now try to say what you've originally been saying in the beginning. You have a little bit of stop to you because you don't want to lose the fact that you built this thing up. So it's kind of like, I get it. It's their platform. But I also think with the YouTube creators and everything like that, this governor of Texas that is now trying to get this bill and trying to stop all these regulations on these social networks, it's going to awaken a lot of people onto like, yeah, we have the news that spouts out so much fake information and so much bullshit where everything they've said during this pandemic has been backpedaled on. If they're not taken down, then you should give the free platform for people to say what they want and hope to God that the people that you've already manipulated into believing everything that you say don't believe everything that they say, but they try and decipher for themselves now. Because I think if you have flat earthers on the fucking news, just like fucking whatever, the regular news, now you're disabling what the news is, and now you're making it an even playing field. Because at this point, I can't see of taking away their power and having nothing, and I can't see them raising a flat earther's power to have everything. You know what I mean?
Well, again, people are either not going to want to admit it, they're going to call me fucking whatever, but like the truth of the matter is this is an attack on all of our rights. This whole COVID, like COVID's real, but everything around it's fake. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but you can't say that.
Yes, I can. Yes, I absolutely can. I said COVID's fucking real. Yes, I did. I said COVID's real. Everything around it is fucking bullshit. I can't say that.
I know, but here, see,
I can say the lockdowns are bullshit. I've been saying it on my podcast. I've been saying on Cold Divide. I've been saying on fucking 1,000 podcasts. I can say that all day I want. But everything around it's fucking bullshit. But everything around it, the lockdowns, the fucking store closures, the government giving out our fucking money to everybody. It's all bullshit. It's all to do what they fucking want.
I think you just need to run for president and let me be your vice president and be able to moderate what you're, because here's the thing is, as soon as you start saying that, like, people don't fucking understand, as soon as you even say those words, I gotta be like, hey, Adam, we can't say that, because now people are going to start thinking that you think you have more power than them. And even though that necessarily may be true, you're going to lose half your viewership because a lot of the people don't want to hear that you have more power than them. It's kind of like when you start, like, if you just go off on, which you will in this show, you will end up saying something, going off a tangent. I'm just going to be like, you can't say that. And then you're going to be like, why not? And and then I'll explain it better, but it has to be a spur of the moment type thing, because you say a lot of important things, and you're right about it. I agree with you probably most of it. Like, I mean, I don't think that we've had anything I really disagree. I think we both basically side on a lot of the same things, but there is some stuff that it's got to be adaptable to everyone. And I don't think that's a platform that a lot of people understand the other sides of. And I don't know if that's a perspective thing, but it's so hard because even when I tweet something, I'm like, oh, someone's going to take it this fucking way, even if it's a funny joke. And you start to realize you can't say that anymore. So it's kind of like a risk or reward type factor. You're going to get more likes or you're going to get more dislikes. And then I look at it like, I think anybody should be able to say what they want. But the fact that you're limiting people's speech, you're now causing all these people where we start getting sides like vaxxers and anti-vaxxers. You talk to a vaxxer, say, what do you got against people who don't want to get the vaccine? Well, they're all fucking microchip idiots. Okay, not all of them are like that, though. Okay, let's talk to the anti-vaxxers. What do you think is in the fucking, why won't you get the vaccine? Are you a vaccine? You're a Karen, aren't you? Well, you tell me to put my fucking mask. It's like, no, just where's the middle ground? God damn it. Can anybody just agree that the moon landing was fake? Thank you. That's all I fucking want.
I have a friend of mine who I know him for a little bit, and she's actually dating a good friend of mine. So there's like a lot of elements to this. But Joe Biden on Facebook the other day, he had some posts about like taxing the rich, and I just wrote, Jesus, this guy sucks, you know. And then my very woke liberal friend who never read a book about economics, never read a book about government, like these people for the most part. And I mean, even on the right side, like right wing included, they just have what they've been told and just spew out their agenda bullshit. They've never looked into it. So she went, why does he suck? Question. Why does he suck? I don't know. 1,000 reasons why he sucks. But for this particular reason, she goes, why does he suck? Because he wants to tax the rich more. She goes, yeah, well, then things like public schools and hospitals would close forever. And she's like, it's a necessary evil, but it's an evil that we need society to stay afloat. She thinks taxes need to be a thing for society to stay afloat. Like, that's the furthest thing from the truth. So I drove back, it's 100% false. I go, first of all, public schools are an abomination, and they should be abolished, 100%. Public schools are atrocious. The money should not go to public schools. They should go to the families, if anything, which I'm against any public money. But if I have to pick, I'd rather go to the families, not the fucking schools, because the schools are trash. Secondly, private hospitals are run about 1,000 times better than most city hospitals. Most, like a lot of them. Private companies have shown time and time again that they do a better job mitigating and have a reason and incentive to do a good job over government. Also, the rich already pay over 50% of our taxes, and I think they shouldn't have to pay anything. But I don't think any of us should pay anything. But they already pay 50% over most of the country's taxes. Again, these people don't read a fucking book. Like I go read Basic Economics by Thomas Sowell. Go read Economics in One Lesson by Henry Hazlitt. Like these are very easy books that people should fucking read. Go read Anatomy of the State by Murray Rothbard. It's 60 fucking pages.
First off, what's wrong with Biden? You
What's wrong with him?
You don't like his popcorn speech? I thought his popcorn speech was really good where he talked about he has hairy legs.
Dude, my favorite clips of all time are like the ones that get mushed together of them like President Biden, why did you bomb that caravan of children? And then it's the cut to him of being like holding an ice cream cone, being like, it's chocolate chip.
There's don't you remember the girl that accused Biden of a Me Too movement? Her name was
Tara Reid.
Yeah, and then you know who was one of her biggest supporters?
Monica Lewinsky.
Nope.
No.
Kamala Harris.
Oh, right, that's right. She called him a racist too.
But she was brave enough to put those differences aside and become his vice president.
Yeah,
I think that's a little bit strange too. You know what I mean?
No, it's disgusting, and these people should be fucking. Well, I can't say that. These people shouldn't be who they are. You know, it's fucking. They're really like that's what I'm saying. Like there is real evil in the world, and it's not always like the serial killer. You know what I'm saying? Like that's real evil, but like that's also real evil. Like what they're doing is real evil. Well, and, like I'll die on this hill.
Do you think that it would just be better if we had a president that would just like be 100% honest with us and just say, I don't know? Like I thought about this. Like if I was president, would I just go up and I would let everyone know like there is an Illuminati, even if I got shot on front of camera in front of everybody? I would just like Iron Man it. I'd walk in and be like, everybody, can we just get on the floor real quick? Just on the floor, just on the floor. Get on the floor and I go, there is a fucking Illuminati. We're all kind of fucked and we're all in this systematic simulation that is going to keep on going and going and repeating and making our lives hell. And then I think I would get shot and then a bunch of people would wake up to the fact that there is some type of system that is going on that doesn't really want you to.
I gotta be honest with you, man. After seeing what I've seen the last 2 years, I don't think there's anything in the world that could be shown to people to make them fucking fully understand.
Sure there is.
No, there's not. No, dude.
Talk about it on a podcast.
If you haven't gotten it by now, I don't know what it's gonna take. I really don't. Like an alien attack. Like, what's it gonna be? Like, I don't understand. Like, what's it gonna take for you to realize like this is a fucking scam? Well, like it's a hologram.
I've talking to plenty of people that like do the alien research and the UAP. What do you think that's government tech? I'm in the belief that it's government tech. I think they modified alien tech to make it more government tech.
Dude, I don't even fucking know. I mean, you read about Project Bluebeam and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then like, but then who hasn't seen some weird shit? Like, and then there's also so many stories that are just kind of undeniable in ways. I mean, everything can be denied, but I mean, like, where you hear it, like, I don't know, dude, that sounds too real to be made up.
Well, what do you think the next 50 years is going to hold?
Dude, I mean, I truly.
Because we're seeing the disconnect with people. The disconnect has been building over generations upon generations. I'm just thinking it's going to get to a point where every system is set up that you're going to have robots at home that'll teach for you, mostly because we're having
Tesla's building that robot.
Yeah, well, this is what my theory goes into is that the robot is based on an algorithm that learns. So whatever you show it, it's going to learn. Mm-hmm. So if I just have it sit next to you all day, it would probably end up developing libertarian views and then have these political points or these certain things where it might be aggressive towards some people that really can't understand some things. It would kind of develop your personality in a type of way. Not that you're aggressive,
like a dog.
Yeah. But like, yeah, like you're, for instance, like for dog training, like if you're yelling at sports at the TV all day, your dog kind of festers that in. It's like Bill Burr's joke where he talks about, so that would happen with your robot as well too. I think eventually it's just going to get to a point where like my Walmart just remodeled to expand their online shopping because more people are doing online shopping. Now, when is it going to start being the factor, which we've seen during the pandemic, that now online shopping is the only shopping and there is no going to the store. And now we don't even have the products in the store anymore. We actually order those based on the mass consumption of people that make the orders online. which is not that far off from what we've kind of started to see. I've slowly started to see the phasing out of going to actual stores to get a product. It's like, yeah, I want that thing in the window. Oh, we don't have that on stock. You're gonna have to order that online. It'll be shipped to your house in 2 to 3 weeks. And it's like, well, what? Why do you have it in the window then? Can I just get the one in the window? No, 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 no. Those are for display in case anybody walks by the stores driving around town. Not a lot of people leave their cars, man. Why are you outside of your car? Get back in your home. What are you doing outside of your property? I'm like,
Well, do you see Australia right now, dude?
yeah.
Don't forget, it's for your safety. They're beating the shit out of you and choking you and throwing tear gas in your face and hitting you with fucking police horses and batons for your safety. Don't forget.
Yeah. As long as it's for safety.
By the way, you brought up Alex Jones before, and I mean this. I mean this wholeheartedly. He's been right.
Yeah.
So much.
I know.
And people will still call him crazy. And it's like, okay, because he had Sandy Hook kind of wrong. Okay. Well, what about all the other shit? And he apologized for that.
Here's the part where we start saying you can't say that because you can't say kind of wrong.
No. I mean, no. Well, let me a chance to explain myself. I mean, like, I think all mass shootings are like false flags. So those kids are fucking unfortunately got murdered. But like, I don't think the narrative is true.
You think that the government paid somebody to do that?
No. I mean, this is where it gets. I guess you want to say again the word conspiratorial.
Well, to rationalize what you're probably going to say.
Do you remember? No, hold on.
I want to add this to your point.
I have to preface it with this even before you even go down this point.
Okay.
You were younger. You're younger than me.
I'm 46.
How old were you during Sandy Hook?
When did Sandy Hook happen?
Like 2011 or something.
It's about 10 years ago, so I was probably like 16.
Okay. So
12.
You're kind of old enough, but I was like an adult. I was like 20, I was like 23, 24 around there, 25. And I watched that shit live, the footage live. I was watching it in my house. And there's helicopter footage. And they were chasing this guy through the woods.
Yep.
Behind the school. And they caught him. And I even remember hearing the police radio because this was available at the time. It's pulled now. You can't find it. But at the time, you heard police radio chatter being like, he's running to the back. He's in all black. I'm circling around. They got him. There's pictures of that guy in like, kind of like a black, not like a trench coat, but like a black, kind of like a unmarked military coat kind of looking thing. And he was front cuffed, sitting in an unmarked police car. And they drove away with him. And they've never talked about it again.
So I was going to preface that with this, which was that the fact that the government probably created the Unabomber. That kid had been experimented on since he was a young child and locked in government.
He's also a genius. You ever read his shit?
Yeah, but can't say that either because then people get mad. You're saying the Unabomber's a genius. It's like, well,
he is.
Okay. I'm not comparing my perspective with your perspective. I'm comparing what the people are going to hear on the basis.
No, like he went to Harvard.
YouTube
like he was
lets
like a legitimate,
YouTube lets you take clips of videos now for yourself. So you don't have to be the creator of the video. You can just watch the video and then choose to clip out certain things. So now I don't know where the hell that goes. That's going to eventually get taken a bunch of people out of context for some apparent fucking reason. But you can do that now. It's called clip. If you look on YouTube now, instead of like, share, all that type of stuff, there's now a clip part for it. So that's going to be fun and interesting to see how things get mashed up. But there is, like, in my mind, and I've read MK Ultra, and a lot of people say that's a conspiracy theory. But I was in a space on Twitter, which you can be in these spaces for people listening. And what happens, I don't know why I'm saying that. I'm talking to you, Adam. It's just me and you. This will probably get lost in the ether like the other one. No, I'm just kidding. But with the UFO Twitter space, I was in a thing, and my issue with UFO Twitter is that a lot of people involved in this community tend to say a bunch of things, and they're trying to not say the person's name or say certain accounts, where they go, well, I can just say from a friend who knew this thing, had this happen, he worked in this sector of this. I'm like, you're not giving any details to make the story true. It really sounds kind of crazy. And a guy who did the Skinwalker Ranch documentary came in, and he said, I understand that you don't want, like, there's a farming couple that found UFO tech or something like that, and they invited the news to come get it. Then last minute they canceled when the news was like at their door. We don't want to talk to you guys. So either someone in the government came up to them and said something to them, or something happened where they were like, I don't want this to ruin my whole entire life. I don't want to do this. He goes, I understand that point, but the issue I have is, just like Snowden, there's someone out there that's willing to put their reputation because they have none and lose it all. So now you're saying that nobody can find somebody who would lose their reputation with all this government shit, all this conspiracy shit. It's hard to believe that one person has not came out and fucking. And I got to tell you this, man. I was watching the news, I think it was like last week, and fucking Dan Crenshaw came up. And I've never in my fucking life seen more of a movie plot where I thought I was watching a goddamn sci-fi film when you see a man with a fucking eye patch on our news telling us about legislation. I'm like, what? Like, I just had this subtle, like, outburst gut laugh where I was just laughing so fucking hard. And everyone's like, what's so fucking funny about what he's saying about this murder that happened? I'm like, because he's a villain basically from a movie. And not even that. Why did everyone during this pandemic or during this last couple of weeks become a fucking detective over a missing influencer? How many thousands of people go missing a goddamn day? Every day in this country, not even in this country, all over the world. But everyone's like, she is an influencer. I will challenge any motherfucker out there. Do you know what she was an influencer for?
Nah, I never.
Neither do I. I've never even seen that fucking face before.
Same.
Yeah, it's horrible that happened, but I just hate the way that people act with it. It pisses me off.
Dude,
I
commented. Yeah, you're right. I commented on this recently about like true crime junkies. I think they're fucking garbage people. And I don't mean like people who like just like listen to true crime podcast stuff. I mean like these people who are so into it that they start to like investigate themselves, because like to them, like they don't really see the victim. They see like a fun thing for them to do. I'm like, that's a very dead person. That's very dead, and their family will never get that person back. And this is like a game to you almost. We're like, and they'll be like, no, I want justice. I'm like, yeah, nah, you want to be like, I help solve the case. You don't really give a fuck.
Well, there's a difference between sharing and liking something when it's trying to get the message out there, when it comes to a factor of someone who's dying from cancer and has a GoFundMe that you're trying to raise them money for. But now this is a different way they try to translate it, which was sharing a case that's going on where it's like a bunch of people speculating about where she might be or who might have done it or what is this or what is that. And I don't think that's right. And I think that's actually really fucked up that people are doing that, because it is hindering an investigation and it is messing with something that they don't really care about, but they want to seem like a good person. That's right. A false flag.
Signaling. It's bullshit. It's so, especially like my past life and my past job and all that stuff. And it's like, I've seen a lot of that shit, man. And it's like, it's not fucking fun. It's not fucking cool. Like, it's not like some fun hobby to do. Like, it's fucking, that's someone, like, you're dead. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no coming back. So like, yeah, it's, oh, I listen to fucking, Dear John, I listen to all these true crime podcasts, and I fucking want to have, it's like, no, you think it's fun and you get a thrill from it, but that's a dead person and they're fucking dead and they're not coming back. And like, you don't really care because you'll move on in 7 months when the next fucking missing hiker comes along that's dead that you want to fucking latch onto.
Well, just like the Ted Kaczynski thing with the brainwashing of the government. Aren't we all just fucking sheep and brainwashed right now? Because we're living in a society where if you start to think differently, you're known as the outcast and you're known as the conspiracy person. Where I'm looking at these things, I'm like, how many of these are going to be conspiracies? And then when they do become out to be true, then people still don't acknowledge it and they just keep going with whatever information that gets posted.
Well, they're the real sheep, right?
Yeah, but are they? I get it, but they're the majority now. There's nobody that has critical thought or questioning.
I don't know if they're the majority or they're the silent minority.
I don't know, because
I'm not silent minority. I'm sorry, vocal minority.
Maybe so. I mean, maybe that is a thing, but we see a lot of things that end up getting posted about. And like, I've used your example multiple times of when you talked about how many people see the headline and not the retraction. Yeah. A lot of people see that headline, and I've seen a lot of people get a lot of information wrong and then say, oh, sorry, I guess I was wrong. But I don't see that get retweeted. I see more people that see the headline about things, which I think is important for us to keep in mind when it comes to algorithms canceling misinformation and stuff like that. But I think it needs to be directed more towards people that have a giant ass platform. And I think this this is where the governor came in with that bill about censorship and issues like that, because they're silencing people that aren't necessarily conservatives and don't side with those viewpoints. I think at this point now, the only way to fix it is by liberating these social networks and making them have confined just abilities to the fact of you cannot censor people's speech on anything. Doesn't matter if it doesn't fit your narrative. I get it, it's your platform, but at this point, it's become too big and it's dominated the market too much, where it's literally brainwashing people.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is like, especially as a libertarian, as an ANCAP libertarian, you go, well, I don't like the law governing, you know, private enterprises, and even like again, like, even though I'm for what his message, the governor's, doing, it's like, oh, that'd be a hypocrite. At the same time, it's fucking you're right. It's like a public sector now. It's not really it is a private company, but like not really. It's just like electric companies are, but they're not really private. You
Well,
know?
I want to read this because this is trending right now. So apparently there's a trending hashtag on Twitter right now, which is spam. Dozens of Massachusetts state police troopers resigning over COVID vaccine mandate.
Good.
So, I mean, when does the line get drawn, or when does this type of thing start to go where we start to realize there's just like this giant divide that's going to start happening? I mean, more people are shaming these troopers than anything.
Of
I don't see a
course.
lot of positive things
Of
happening right
course,
now.
because it's Twitter and they're only going to be left-wing comments. But here's the thing, dude. This is going to lead to eventual violence. Like I only see this going down one route. Violent.
Okay, hold on. So, speaking of Reagan, judge will lift all restrictions on John Hinckley Jr. next year if the shooter, President Ronald Reagan, remains mentally stable.
Oh, who gives a fuck?
You don't like Reagan?
No.
I'm trying to find the governor of Texas that was trying to pass that bill.
Abbott.
Yeah, no, I mean, but it was trending on Twitter like a minute ago, so unless they took it off.
Possible, but like the thing again, I'm as fucking I'm not pro cop because I think the cops are a tool for the government and all laws aren't just, but they vow to uphold all laws. So and again, dumb right wingers, fucking they love the cops, Blue Lives Matter, all that shit, and I'm like, yeah, who locked you up when you fucking opened your businesses during COVID though? The politicians? No, fucking police did. It's like the police were supposed to be there to protect the Constitution and protect the law and protect the citizens, not do as governors tell them to do. So when these fucking scumbags want to enforce just personal law and personal mandates and not actual the Constitution, then yeah, I don't see you as a fucking fellow countryman. I see you as a fucking tool of the state.
Okay, so this is and this is on, for people listening, this is govtex.gov. Governor Abbott signs law protecting Texans from wrongful social media censorship. Governor Greg Abbott today signed House Bill 20 into law, which protects Texans from wrongful censorship on social media platforms. The governor was joined for the bill signing by Senators Brian Hughes and Representative Briscoe Kane, the bill's authors, as well as the senators. And he says, we will always defend the freedom of speech in Texas, which is why I'm proud to sign the House 20 into law to protect First Amendment rights in the Lone Star State, said Governor Abbott. Social media websites have become our modern day public square. They are a place for healthy public debate where information should be able to flow freely. But there is a dangerous movement by social media companies to silence conservative viewpoints and ideas. That is wrong, and we will not allow it in Texas. I thank Senator Brian Hughes, and then he names the people for signing the 20 into office. So the House Bill 20 prevents social media companies with more than 50 million monthly users banning users simply based on their political viewpoints. The law also requires several consumer protection disclosures and processes related to content management on the social media sites to which the bill applies. These sites must disclose their content management and moderation policies and implement a complaint and appeal process for content they remove, providing a reason for the removal and review of their decision. They also must review and remove illegal content within 48 hours. House Bill 20 also prohibits email service providers from impeding the transmission of email messages based on content. Well, there was something really sketchy with all iPhones where they all updated, where you needed to force an update to your phone to be able to continue to use the phone that you purchased for, or it would just slowly get slower. But what they do now is it's stopping apps from tracking you, even though you've said that you cannot track me. So your phone will shut down an app midst of it using it. just because they're trying to
Yeah.
track you. They're trying to find ways to do it. Even if you've already said, I don't want, you do not have the consent to track me, they will still wait, and then they will still try and track you, even though you said, no, you don't have my permission to. They're forcibly doing things now, which I think a lot of people don't really give a shit about because they'll still use their phone anyway. But I see that as a worry, because at this point, how many things in our history have happened to us that we really didn't know about? And then when we found out about, we got mad at first, and then we just let it go. Everyone at this point, I think, understands that, yeah, they can track you now. Nobody really gives a shit. When not even 2 years ago, when that Social Dilemma or whatever the fuck that thing came out, everyone was losing their goddamn mind.
That was a good movie. Yeah. Oh wait, I thought you meant the social
No, the
contract.
documentary.
The documentary. Oh yeah, that thing too. Yeah. Those are both good. Uh, yeah, man. There's no way around it. We're all fucked. We all have a digital footprint, so that's there forever. It doesn't matter now. It's like there's no stopping it now. It really isn't.
Well, there's got to be a way to fix it.
I don't think so.
There's got to be a way that it doesn't end up inhering on many other things when it comes to a factor of being able just to tell if someone's a real piece of shit or not. I mean, there shouldn't be giant things where there's like no racism here or all these types of things. Like, but where obviously everyone is not for racism. Like, I don't understand this concept.
Most people.
Most
That
people are
this
racist.
this is a bullshit narrative being pushed too about how no most people aren't racist. This is the bullshit narrative being pushed too. It's like America's the most racist. It's like no, we're not. We're probably one of the least racist countries on the fucking planet easily. And this bullshit, like there's like 7 people in the KKK. It's non-existent. It doesn't exist anymore. It exists, but there's like fucking no one. It's a joke. If you saw the KKK walking down the street, you'd be like, what the fuck is this nonsense? Like no one takes them seriously. They're not a threat. There's no fucking, it's bullshit. Like of course there's racism, but it's not this fucking narrative that they're trying to push where like, again, I mean, I don't know. I want to be careful what I want to say.
I just think it gets to this point where if you start saying that, like, and I don't think there is a lot, but I don't know, because then people say, well, you're white, you don't know what racism is. And I'm like, there's white racism too. There's plenty of people.
See, that's the thing. So, don't even say that. Racism just means you hate someone on the basis of their skin color. That's it. So if someone hates you because you're white, that's racist. There's no white racism or reverse racism. There's racism. That's racist.
Well,
that's
so
it.
This brings back to the point I was going to mention before, which was about, I was listening to a lot of older Joe Rogans. It kind of goes back to a little bit of Alex Jones, for instance. I was listening to something he said like over a year and a half ago, and he said China owned Hollywood. Well, China, didn't John Cena apologize in Mandarin to the people of China for what he said about Taiwan? So he was right about that as well, too. But then Yeomi Park, the North Korean defector lady, she said something that was very interesting. And I think a lot of people took a clip of it when she said that there's more racism, or not racism, there's more divisiveness and anger, hatred here, just like it was in North Korea, that there really wasn't a difference. Actually, it was worse. But she brought up a certain scenario that I wanted to highlight, which was that she was in the street, I think in New York or something like that, and she got mugged by 3 little girls. Now these girls were of black ethnicity, and she was screaming at them, stop, you're robbing me, thieves, thieves, thieves. Everyone circled around them and then called her racist, even though she just got mugged. And it was like, what? And she's Asian. So she was like, what? Like, what do you, she barely speaks English that well. And she was trying to scream thief, thief, thief. And these people, someone spit on her and hit her and had her let go of her purse. And this girl ran off with her stuff. Now, she even talked about, she goes, in North Korea, there's a difference. If somebody tries to rob you in North Korea, everybody jumps in and helps you, because they don't want that. They want to get that person away from you. They don't beat that person up. They just stop the interaction. They stop everything. They come in and they'll help you out. She goes, this is how it's worse than North Korea. Agreed. Now, North Korea is a place where people are literally starving to death, where their organs are coming out of their backside and dogs are literally waiting for them to die.
But that's because of government. That's not because of the people. It's because of government, right? So what the government did here is turn us against each other, which again is worse. The government turning us against each other is worse than the government just taking over in a way, because because there's no unity. There's nothing to fight against. You're fighting against each other. And also, that's the thing. That's the other thing too, that I'm really sick when Europe, like a Sweden or a Swedish person be like, America has race problem. Like, you're all white. Shut the fuck up. Like, you don't know what it's like here. Like, we are unique as a country, where these other countries, you all have one fucking, for the most part, one race. So your guys' differences isn't like there's no cultural differences. It's just like, you're brunette, oh, I'm blonde. Like, those are their differences. Like here, it's like, oh, we're vast differences in cultures clashing into one thing, right? That's one thing. Two, government divides us. So instead, you have her being robbed of the street, and then the news will turn around, ignore that, and then say white people are racist against Asians. When in reality, okay, remember the Stop Asian Hate hashtag going around for like remember how it died almost instantly?
Yeah.
You want to know what the truth behind it? Because the narrative was white people are beating up Asian people unwarrantedly, right? And then when you broke down the numbers, 85 to 90% of the crimes were black on Asian crime.
Yeah, that's why I saw a person that was saying this is why white people need to stop, or white people need to, they need to be stopped or something like that. And they posted the video of the guy that literally brought his foot up to a lady's face and kicked her like in the head in the middle of the fucking street in front of a store. And I think it was trending for a little while. Then they figured out they got an actual photo of the guy and he actually wasn't white at all. And then the person that I saw post that took it down. And you start to realize that like, I think if it fits your perspective or your whatever you're kind of brainwashed to. And here's the thing is what I want to try and do is I'm not out here to try and fix the fucking world. I'm really not. But I'm trying to make it to where a lot of these things that we talk about, we don't get looked at as insane or crazy fucking people. And this can't be possibly true. If I can sit there and listen to someone else's perspective that necessarily thinks that all white people need to suffer for everything they've ever done, then why can't they listen to mine? You start to see that there's got to be some type of way to fix this, to have a common discourse. I feel like in another timeline, politics isn't this divisive. And I think the only reason people got interested in politics in the past year and a half was because fucking sports was gone for so long. Nobody had sport. It used to be sports fighting. Now it's fucking political shit.
No,
and now it's hard to
Trump
get those
turned it
people back
around,
in.
Really, the whole Trump shit kicked it off, I would say.
You're a Trump fan.
No. 2016, I would say, would be, that's 15-ish, really. But that's when it all really flipped the fuck.
Yeah, but you start to see we're getting to this point where people are not really caring about certain things anymore. I mean, more people that I would say that wouldn't say certain things because they don't want to be labeled as racist stopped giving a fuck about being called a racist.
Because you have to, because you can't. So it's that thing of like, no, I'm not going to let you dictate what I am. Right. So I'm a pretty outspoken ANCAP libertarian. I'm a Mises Caucus libertarian, dude. I get called a Nazi all the fucking time by left wingers. I also get called a fucking gay soy boy cuck by right wingers. So it's like, because I'm like, the cops are bad. And they're like, what are you fucking pussy? I'm like, yep. Totally. Because I hate war. I'm a fucking pussy. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, I get it both ways, dude. It doesn't really matter.
Well, from your eyes, what's the left's point of view? Like, what is their whole narrative?
To me?
Yeah.
Wait, so you're asking me what the left thinks of me? And
no, what's the left's narrative in general?
I think the progressive left took over the narrative.
Okay, but like for me, what I would describe it as like the left just want everything to be changed. They're seeing a giant, evil, corrupt world filled with racism and spite, and every single person's looking to fucking rape somebody.
I think the establishment doesn't really believe that. I think they trick their followers into believing that. I think they just want power. And I think the way to their power, they took the route of social stuff instead of money. Like the right went more money, they went more social. That's it.
Okay, and then what's so the right is more is conservative different, or is it the exact same? Because
no, it's so like small c, big c. It's like big C conservative means like Republican Party or the Conservative Party. Small c conservative means like you Robbie might have conservative values, but you don't align with the party or something like that. So like, yes. So the conservative leanings, of course, are usually like small, but this isn't true, obviously, because they don't follow what they believe. But like they're supposed to believe in small government, little spending, family unit stuff, like strong family unit, like that's their whole thing. Yeah. But they, Trump spent the most money than any other president in the world, in our history, and they expanded government and they banned like bump stocks. So like they're full of shit. You know what I'm saying? And then the left they've always full of shit. They'll lie to every minority's face, be like, vote for us. We'll get you what you want. Like, okay. And then they're like, suckers. Fucking psych. They don't fucking follow through what they say either. It's all a fucking scam.
Is this one of the reasons why you probably dived into the comedy route only because you're trying to make people laugh in a world that is pretty divided. And it seems like laughter is one of the forms of best medicine, but it is also a time where people can actually sit next to each other and actually look at one person on stage and hear jokes and preferably not get upset by the things that you say.
I mean, yeah, that sounds like a great answer, but the truth is, no, I just have I'm a fucking needy cunt, and I feel I need to be validated in life, and I like to make people laugh,
It's a good
and that's
answer.
how I get validated.
It's a good fucking answer. I just think we get to this point where you see a lot more people that just want to run with something or be angry at something. And I'm like, it's a lot of energy to be pissed off at something. But I think it pisses me off more on a concept of I get pissed off at those people when they only tweet the wrong thing. When the horse thing came out with the people on the border, it looked like that dude was whipping those Haitian people that were coming over here. Then they saw the back view of it and realized, no, he was actually reining in his horse and he had the dude's hand on his shirt. But you see how the newspaper did it, and it looks like they photoshopped or moved the whip to look like it was whipping the guy, and it doesn't fit right in the photo. But a lot of people didn't even want to listen to the other narrative. They said, no, I don't give a shit. This is my truth. And it's a lot of this is my truth.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, can we just be in the stance that there might not ever be a definitive truth on everything? There are possible realities, but everyone's realities are so skewed and different. I think this is all a concept of how long we're in a world right now, and this is my big thing probably if I am libertarian, is that we're in a system that is set up to fuck and ruin you because all they care about is money. They don't care about you. Nobody, these giant media corporations care about the clickbait. They care about the views. And if that means spreading a fake lie and then printing a retraction later, they got their money from you already. They got your view.
Dude, they do as they're told by their fucking handlers in government. That's what they do.
How do we fix it? Who do I got to kill?
Yeah, you got to booge, dude. We got to booge. We got to booge out. Get
Maybe,
to the boog.
Would the purge work?
No, it was government run.
Oh. Can we just have like a freedom purge?
Yeah, it's called anarchy, which I'm full for. So it's
you want chaos, don't you?
No.
Okay.
No, anarchy is not chaos. It's not true. So that's another myth that people think, because they go, well, I'm an anarcho capitalist, which means I think what we have now is crony capitalism, which is not capitalism.
Take
right?
all the guns.
Yes, take all the guns.
Every single one.
Get all the businesses to government.
Yes.
Tax everybody at 100%. Work for the betterment of your fellow man.
Pot should be criminalized even 100%. More. I think you need to be put to death if you smoke pot.
Yes, death penalty right away.
We can let you off easy if it's bath salts.
Heroin's fine, but no weed.
I do get upset, though, when I find out that Biden actually lessened the sentence on cocaine, but then raised it on crack. And it's like they're technically the same thing, but then it comes out a year later that his son was caught with all that cocaine and all that type of shit. And I'm like, you did that fucking on purpose because you knew that he was hiding something.
The 94 crime bill, which was co-written by Biden, pretty much run by Biden, was one of the worst things to happen to black people since slavery. I'm not even kidding. Like the in-proportionate amount of punishment put on the black community from his crime bill and the time spent in jail from his crime bill is modern day slavery for real. And it's fine, apparently. No one really gives a fuck.
Did you see what the new Pfizer CEO said recently? I think it was this morning or last night.
Well, it probably wasn't. I'm a lying cunt. So what?
No, he talked about how, and I actually just talked to someone the other day about this because he was asking me, my buddy who I want to get on your show because I think you'd be perfect for it. But he told me, he goes, you know how much Pfizer's making a day off this fucking money? He goes like 20 something $6 million
off what money?
Off of the vaccine. They're making like a large sum of profit a day, basically. Like I think it's like 260 million or something like that. They're making a day from doing. Let me look this up real quick.
Yeah, it's. Well, dude, I especially my one of my other favorite things is what was it? Hold on. Oh yeah, most of the people who fact check for misinformation on these independent fact checkers on social media.
You know, they're like fact checker is just another term for censorship.
Yeah, I know, but you know they're like funded by like big pharma, most of them, which of course they are.
So it says Pfizer reaps hundreds of millions in profits from COVID vaccine. The company said its vaccine generated $3.5 billion in revenue in the first 3 months of this year. and that was on
Wow.
May 4th, 2021. I don't know how much they make yearly.
Probably billions.
Well, it says right here, Pfizer makes 15 billion worth of COVID-19 vaccines in 2021 so far.
Oh, so hold on. So just in vaccines, they made 15 billion. That's not counting all the other stuff they make.
Well, they expect to earn between 59 billion and 61 billion, up from 42 billion it made in 2020. With the exclusion of the vaccine, the company expects its sales to grow 6% in 2021. So sales of the vaccine are set to bring in a fourth of Pfizer's total revenue this year. That would be nearly as much as its three best-selling products combined. Some other pneumococcal vaccine, Prevnar, 6 billion a year, cancer drug Ibrance, 5 billion, and blood thinner Eliquis, 5 billion. The company is expecting profit margins for the vaccine to be 25 and 30%, which means profits from the vaccine could be around 4 billion. All Pfizer's costs and profits from the vaccine are split evenly with BioNTech and the biotech company that helped develop the treatment. Now, the CEO that I was talking about said something just recently where he talked about, and this is now with all those profits and everything that he's making. My buddy was mentioning this to me before. He was like, they're making like 200 something million a day or 260 something thousand a day or something like that. And that adds up to a couple billion a year, a large amount of money. But yeah, this just happened a day ago. So he says that in a matter of days, Pfizer's CEO says they'll be ready to ask for approval for COVID-19 for kids or COVID-19 vaccination for kids. But he also talked about it wouldn't just be a year. It wouldn't be like another booster shot. It would be something you have to do like one shot every 3 years and keep it going. And he also said it's never going to end. And I'm like, it's a fucking profit thing.
Fuck my dick.
Like, what are we fucking talking about? It's
Dude,
never going to
fucking
end.
Smallpox is eradicated, but this 99.8% survival rate virus is a lifetime.
Oh, you can't
shot.
say that, bro.
Yes, I can. That's a fucking stat.
No, I got YouTube's gonna take us down for that.
They're not. It's a stat.
There's a stat of spreading too, and you can't say that shit either.
Yeah, I think you can if it's an actual stat that they put out themselves.
No,
I think you can.
I'm telling you, I got a video flagged, and I'm 100% sure you can't.
That's crazy. Why is my dog barking?
Hold on, I'm looking up the yeah, but Pfizer CEO predicts normal life in a year, but he says that you'll have to remain getting a booster shot every 3 years.
Suck my dick.
Some less for others, depending on what you're.
I'll legitimately die on this hill, so that's fine.
But don't you just think that's a little bit like a profit thing? Like it's never going to end.
Hey, Robbie. Yeah, man. Of course I do.
It's a doom and gloom. It's like when.
Of course I do.
Here's my thing with Fauci is like I think that when he was the main god that everyone looked to during his pandemic, or most did, like there were.
I never once did.
I know.
I thought he was evil the whole time.
I did too. Just like Dan Crenshaw. I'm like, that's an evil motherfucker.
Yeah, I agree. He's a piece of shit too.
But there were literally like videos that you could see of people that were like driving by other people's houses who had a Fauci. I pray to Fauci at night before.
Yeah.
I ate dinner.
So you know how the So you know how the right usually they actually have a god's religion, and the left usually mocks religion. Like, you guys are fucking stupid. The government in Fauci is their religion. And I'll believe the right's version before I believe the left's version of the religion, honestly.
Well, if this video is going to be taken down anyway for the things we've already said, I might as well just.
It is not.
I might as well just go all fucking in and hit the fucking main topic.
It's not going to get taken down. I said no lies. No lies detected on this podcast.
So the intercept.
I don't like how this angle makes me look fat.
Well, stop leaning back so far. I would like to speak up to you. I'm all up front of camera and you're all in the back.
My back hurts, and this is a shitty chair my wife got for herself.
So leaked documents from a scuttled research grant proposal calling for collaboration between labs in Wuhan and the U.S. military, raising concerns about the dangerous nature of the experiments on coronavirus possibly conducted prior to the start of the pandemic. On September 21st, Drastic Research, an international network of scientists investigating the origins of the pandemic, exposed a grant proposal presented to the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency by U.S.-based research organization EcoHealth Alliance and headed by British zoologist Peter Daszak. The documents, which were leaked by an anonymous whistleblower, detail a US $14 million proposal dubbed Project Diffuse that sought to identify the spillover risk of coronavirus to US warfighters, but was ultimately rejected due to potential gain of function research elements. The proposal for the US $14 million grant titled Diffuse diffusing the threat of bat-borne coronaviruses was submitted in 2018 and would have run from that year until 2022. EHA was requesting $14,209,245 in funding and would have allocated $1,182,877 to the Wuhan Institute of Virology, which much of the rest subcontracted to the University of North Carolina, National University, Singapore, United States Geological Survey, Wildlife Health Center, and Palo Alto Research Center. Among the controversial proposed experiments presented in the application were the creation of bat coronaviruses chimeras that would contain human-specific furin cleavage sites, the introduction of these viruses into humanized and batified mice, and a grandiose plan to vaccinate wild bats in caves against coronaviruses. The mention of inserting FCS is significant because scientists consider the presence of these on the spike protein of SARS-CoV-2 to be one of the reasons why the virus is able to easily infect humans. Within the beta coronaviruses of Corvus lineage B, the polybasic furin cleavage site is unique to SARS-CoV-2, according to News Medical Life Sciences. Scientists who favor the lab leak hypothesis point to the unusual presence of the FCS as an indication of manipulation in a laboratory. So they were injecting humanized mice into it, like mice with human cleavage tissue or mice with human tissue, and they were injecting into it to see the spread of it, because it's not infecting a human, you're infecting a mice, and that's okay. And these documents have been leaked, 500 documents on The Intercept through a Freedom of Information Act, which everyone has already been saying is coming from there, but now you couldn't say it came from there. Now I think you can. Now everyone's kind of looking at it more. That was on The Intercept's website, but if I go back, and I actually had a guest who I talked about this said it was a conspiracy. He looked it up. It's on Newsweek, it's on New York Post, it's on Daily Mail, it's on Deadline, it's on Yahoo News, it's on CNN, it's on The Hill, it's on Fox. There's a fucking lot of people talking about this. So I'm wondering, with all those people that said it was a conspiracy are going to start saying, hey, maybe it might not be. And I think my whole issue was, I don't like the fact that you're blinding evidence all on the basis of just what your political viewpoint might be. You know, there are people that have their feet in the sand that are subjective to not wanting to change their opinion. They call for change, but they don't want to change their thoughts on something. So they'll be more than happy to die on the wrong thing. I'm more than happy to change my opinion if they say it didn't come from that. There's proof that it didn't. But how does a WHO dig up and do an exclusive report authorized by the president, and it comes up inconclusive, where I have military friends that never talk shit on the military, never talk shit on Biden, no matter what happens. And they go, isn't that weird how it came up inconclusive? I'm like, are you fucking mocking me? Or are you agreeing with me? And they're like, no, I'm agreeing with you. I think this is one thing where it's like, I definitely did.
Dude, the media and the left called ivermectin a horse dewormer, and they wanted Joe Rogan to die. That one, Nobel.
They made his face look yellow in that video. I saw the original clip and the one they played, CNN and MSNBC. That's why he threatened suing CNN. And then Howard Stern talks shit on Joe Rogan because he teamed up with CNN. He's a sellout. He got fucking paid.
By the way, I was never a Stern guy. I was always an O&A guy, fucking from birth. Fuck Stern. I always fuck Stern. I never found him funny. Never.
I'm there with you.
I understand what he did.
He's trying to get back in the eyes of the public because Joe Rogan has the spotlight.
I mean, well, yeah, but he'll never. I mean, like, he's like the Beatles to me. Like, I understand like what he did for like radio and podcasting and stuff, but like, he's not funny. I don't really like the Beatles, but I understand what he did for music.
He looks like a failed member of Avenged Sevenfold.
Yeah, he looks like a fucking shitty fucking Muppet, dude. He was like a failed Big Bird, Howard Stern. Oh, fuck him.
But do you know why I like talking about all this with you? And I don't like the fear of YouTube taking it down or some type of censor thing taking it down. I think these are things that it should be out there, it should be talked about. I just read you, and I thought I did pretty fucking well without stuttering or stopping a lot of those things that I was reading. Come on, give me some credit on that.
Yeah, it was good.
But that was articles that are written, and I'm not even agreeing with those things. I'm just reading what has been written and is on multiple sites that you can look at for yourself. It's not misinformation, but I don't think keeping the public in the eyes or keeping them quiet or silent in anything or keeping them unknown or just pushed off to the side like a toddler on any information. If there's a bunch of articles saying that the earth is flat, I want to read them and I want to talk about them and I want to understand them. Doesn't necessarily it's going to change my viewpoint. So why should mine change your viewpoint, or why should it change anybody's viewpoint? You should be deciding this information out for yourself and doing the research for yourself or looking up the information for yourself. But a company that chooses to censor you because their algorithm might be fucked up, and you know you have an issue with your algorithm where now the governor is trying to pass a bill to stop you from doing this type of shit, you should start looking at your business a little bit more effectively and realize if you're a person in power, I don't think the president or Biden, anybody, Trump, I don't think they're necessarily evil people. I think they get into a system, and sadly, you got to play ball with the fucking system or they'll cut you out, man. Same thing with Jim
Yeah.
Brewer. Jim Brewer did not play ball with the system when he spoke out about against all these vaccine mandates and shit. He said it was against all this type of stuff. He did come off a little bit crazy, but that's kind of Jim Brewer's personality. So on TV, it doesn't look well when you're paired up next to fucking Tucker Carlson and he's just sitting there all plain blob face, like, and Jim Brewer's going all fucking nuts and going about the corporate elite and all that. It doesn't fit well. It's like if you sit Alex Jones next to anybody who's on a broadcasting thing, who's an actual broadcaster and cares how they look to people, you're having a crazy person jump up and down and scream back and forth. I think if you actually dig down deep in the Disney conspiracy, my buddy made this one up and now I'm seeing it everywhere. Now everyone's talking about the Disney conspiracy theory. You type in 19, my buddy told me this is the video that got flagged off YouTube. He goes, his name's Brandon the Skeptic. Shout out to him. But he created this conspiracy, and then I see it on a Snapchat story a month later. I'm like, bro, someone's listening to my fucking shit and not giving me credit. But Brandon goes, when you type in 1984, what do you get?
I'm sure it's probably not Orwell.
It's Wonder Woman 1984.
Okay, that's the algorithm right now.
What do you type in when you type in Endgame?
I'm assuming Avengers.
You know what you used to get?
What? Yeah, but
Alex Jones documentary Endgame. You know what happens when you type in Frozen? Now, for a lot of older people will know this, but a lot of younger people probably
froze himself.
You get yeah, that. But you know what you get now? You get fucking Olaf. You know what happens if you type in Walt Disney's head Frozen? You get the fucking Frozen dude, this Olaf dude taking his head off on the front of the cover thing because it. And now the conspiracy theory is, which my buddy made up in the first place. Now everybody's talking about it. Now you can look this up for yourself. Is that Disney might be blocking a lot of the types of things by just covering it up with something that's going to get a lot more popular and getting a bunch more views. Every year, Disney and Marvel's production and their ratings go up and up and up. More people see every single Marvel movie than the one before.
They're bumping up the algorithm.
Every movie they make becomes the new blockbuster, becomes the top blockbuster because everyone loves their movies.
Wonder Woman's not Disney though, but go on.
Okay, but isn't it Marvel?
Nope. Warner Brothers.
Is DC Warner Brothers?
Yeah.
I feel like they're all the same fucking people, man.
How dare you?
What's a better way to get a bunch of people like fucking getting this competitive left and right side is if you own both of them, but you have two separate people make two different types of things. You own them both. You're getting ranking in the money.
Those charts where like 4 companies own like every fucking company on the planet.
That's what I'm saying. It's Disney and Marvel. It's just easy to do.
Disney's one of them that owns most things. It's like Disney. It used to be Fox, but
Disney owns, I bet you they own everything. Because in that Naomi Park interview, she starts talking about something when it comes to like some type of like government access or some type of thing. And she goes, yeah, but they paid that off and then you couldn't get this video made. And they go, what do you mean you couldn't get that video made? If this is like a story about exposing a lot of this stuff. She goes, well, Disney didn't want it made. They bought the rights to it and didn't want it made. And I was like, why is Disney blocking that type of thing? I'll have to look back into that. But she talked about Disney. I can try and look that up too. But I'm starting to think that like maybe I'm more believe there's Illuminati than anything.
Well, here's the thing of even Illuminati, whatever. It's I just consider it all deep state. Like I don't think there's one organization necessarily running the show. I think it's just a bunch of whatever you want to envision the deep state as being. Also, Biden actually is evil though. So to go back to your Biden thing.
Biden?
No, I said he actually is evil though. And you said like, oh, president might just get into it. I'm like, no, I think if you're in that position, you're not a good dude.
How? But Biden's our president. You can't say he's evil.
No, of course. Disney wouldn't like that.
He's doing everything that we possibly can.
Also, my favorites were all the people when Trump talked about the vaccine. People were like, I'll never take that Trump vaccine. And then like 4 months later, they're like, put that shit in my blood. It's like,
they're all taking it.
You fucking losers. It was all because Trump said it, but Biden says it's okay. You fucking idiots.
If there is an Illuminati, who do you think is the leader of it?
No one you ever know. I think that's what I'm saying. I think the true people running the show are families' names you've never heard of. It's not. It's like the Rockefellers. Yes, like they're involved and they're important and they're big players. But I don't even think it's them. Like the Carnegies, the Rockefellers, the Kennedys, all these fucking names. All apparently, apparently, there's like this family in Italy that again you don't know the name because they want it that way, but they apparently like run like most shit. That's what
Like,
I've heard.
like the royal family.
But they're like kind of a figurehead too.
I think there's a lot of inner workings that are just somehow connected together that I feel like a lot of this stuff is that we like the content they produce, so we don't mind what they do in the backdrop. Like how many people like will go, yeah, but he does this. It's like, yeah, but did you see all the other shit he did? It's like, I'm not really worried about that. He did this great thing for all of us. And it's like, well, that's kind of how this type of thing starts. I mean, the reason why the people in North Korea don't defect or a lot of them don't know the situation that they're living in is because they don't know anything different. You start to realize like America has this, and she even talked about it. Yeomi Park talked about how America has this great freedom of speech, but there's so much divisiveness and protesting where it is like self-censorship among people. People are the ones that are creating the acts and literally getting them to fight over each other. So you never have an issue with their government. Over there, people just know what their government's like.
That's my point. That's why this is in a way worse because it's the people fighting, not the government. And essentially, no public censorship is also kind of worse than government censorship too, in a way, because it's scarier the fact that you and I might be scared to go out in public and say what we're saying because of fear of physical violence. When I know if I go out and say this in the street, I won't get beat up by the cops or the military, but like I might get into a fight with like some other dude who's just like, oh, I don't agree with you, and the news told me to hate you. Like that's scary. Like that's a great job, government. You did what you wanted to do. You divided us. Good job, smart. It's congrats.
Do you think that it's more of a crime to influence thought in people that necessarily they might not have the thought in their head in the first place?
Like Inception.
Kind of like that, but how many times do you walk by someone and you just see what they're wearing and assume that they're doing something, or they assume they're this point of view or this side of thing because that's what you have seen on a video, and that necessarily might not
Media,
even be
environmental, of course.
So
also, before I forget, to go back to something you sort of brought up about role models before, I think that's an interesting thing of why Gen Z is trash mostly, and they don't have role models. It's because they're the generation to, for some reason, put everybody on a pedestal. And if you did anything that they view wrong, you're a piece of shit. So like, let's say
until their hero
I don't
does
have
something
I don't have an
wrong.
exact example to give right now because I just kind of it's off the top of my head. But like, let's say there's a actor out there who, I don't know, does a lot of charity work, legitimately a good guy, right? All this shit. But let's say he cheated on his wife and it came out.
Paul Rudd.
They'll just tear that guy. I'm not saying he was right for what he did. I'm just saying they'll tear that. Gen Z will just be like, oh, everything's invalid now because of this thing that really didn't hurt anybody but you and your wife. You know what I'm saying? Like you.
So are we talking about Johnny Depp?
No, fuck Amber Heard. She's hot, but
But Johnny Depp's career is basically ruined. I've seen articles posted about him all the time, talking about how he's now like begging for money. He's trying to get any
that's
scrap of
that
work.
he's always been that way though. If you ever like heard Johnny Depp stories, like he's a crazy, like he's been spending like all the time. He's like Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, he owns like 46 houses.
Yeah. It's like Nicolas Cage bought a Tyrannosaurus Rex skull. It wasn't even real.
But there's some people that somehow have like lost success, but then they've become established forever in society, which is characters like Brendan Fraser. Because I think they're just generously good guys. Like Paul Rudd's a good fucking guy.
But that's the thing is like, if something came out about him that wasn't like bad, that wasn't like, I mean, like criminal or anything terrible, but just like how, again, I'm talking about like the younger generation, like the Gen Z generation.
We're in a goddamn world where fucking the My Pillow guy's a Trumper, man. What are we talking about? This is more of a simulation than anything.
Again, I think he was more of a anti-lockdown, pro-business guy than he was a Trump guy. But he obviously knew, well, the right's gonna accept me more than the fucking left.
I don't know. That's a weird fucking. Whenever someone says My Pillow, I'm like, I don't want that.
I remember when that guy made the My Buddy on Shark Tank, and they were like, "No, you weirdo." Do you remember that?
There's a lot of people that have been on Shark Tank that have become successful after they were denied.
The My Buddy was creepy though. It was like it kind of looked like a Mr. Meeseeks almost. Body pillow for real.
Yeah, it's a blue. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Creepy as fuck.
But it's a weird time because I think like gifs, memes, all these types of things are ways to be established now forever, like solidified. And I think that's just with the age of the internet. But when it comes to influencers, influencers are people that especially this newer generation puts up on a pedestal as a role model, but I don't think they necessarily understand. Like, I think I heard someone say this where they said, like, oh, well, actors, they'll pay for tax breaks, they'll donate to charities. That money just gets donated to charity. It's like, yeah, but you never see somebody donate more than whatever their tax thing is. They always
Yeah.
just do what their
So
taxes
fun fact. I learned the hard way. It's about that. I thought the same thing. Like you just donate a few grand or whatever, and then you get not all of it back, but like a chunk. I donated because anti-lockdown and all that shit. So like I felt bad for all these the restaurants. I felt terrible. I donated a nice chunk of change to the Barstool Fund twice. And then I went in to do my taxes. And I was like, hey, got this for you, right? What am I getting back? And he goes, 300. I was like, oh, for each? He's like, nah, just 300 total.
How much did you donate?
Like $2,000.
You only get 300 back?
Yeah. So what he told me, he's like, so how this? I was like, what millionaires do? He's like, you're not a millionaire. And I was like, oh,
that's
so
fucked.
He's like, they millionaires. He's like, they do it like they line their shit differently. It's this whole way to do it on a tax bracket and tax code. He's like, you, the normal idiot. He's like, no, you're just all capped at $300 no matter what. So I will be donating $300 a year for here on out.
Yeah, taxes is just this weird thing though, where like taxes are like they'll go after someone for $10, but when it comes to someone who's might be like $4,000 or $10,000, it's if they have a lot of money, they won't really go after them because that person can outlast longer than the tax company.
No, I mean I said this time and time again. Again, taxation is legitimately theft. It's taking out of your salary that you work for that doesn't go to it. This is what people, this really pisses me the fuck off. And this is like something I do get pissed about because again, people are like, you don't care about the roads, which again, joke, but like, you don't care about public schools. You don't care about, it's like, oh, your tax dollars went to that drone missile that bombed that fucking child.
No, it didn't.
Fuck you. You know what I'm saying? Like, fuck you. It doesn't go to the roads. It goes to war and it goes to tanks to blow up fucking innocent brown children overseas. Because fuck them, then it's not here. You know what I'm saying?
I don't believe you. My tax money goes to a rusty swing set that my kid can swing on whenever he gets sad.
Yeah. And then they take that, use that scrap into a missile to put on a fucking Predator drone to fucking fling into a fucking car full of children.
I'm starting to think more like with the JFK thing and with everything that's going on. I think they found a way to perfect the formula of brainwashing or manipulation and somehow slipped it into this world that we live in. And now we're all like, well, why when I say soda, most people think Coke or Pepsi? Well, they captured the market and that's all the advertisements that you saw when they were kids. So now there's a whole generation.
That's regional, sir.
Okay. Well, do you say soda or pop?
No, I say soda because I'm also Northeastern trash like you.
At least for both trash. We're all just dust in the wind. But I think it's the advertising, especially if you watch a lot of TV when you're a kid, you're technically kind of like brainwashed a lot of it too. And I think they just found a way to capture and manipulate our fucking minds on a lot of things now. You know what I mean? Like when I say the word piracy or pirates, most older people think, oh yeah, pirates, like "Arr." Well, piracy and pirates now, if you're under 20 or if you're under 30, is like downloading movies onto your computer.
I think of three things. I think of that. I think of pirates. I also think of Somalian pirates. I think of all three of those things.
Yeah, the volunteer firefighters of Somalia, which are the volunteer firefighters of Somalia they're supposed to be they're not pirates. That's what they call them. They're called volunteer fire department. That's from people coming down there and fishing, giant government corporations fishing up all their fish to the point where they had to start hijacking these boats and destroying them and becoming these outlaws that we see like with Tom Hanks in that film.
Oh no. I'm not against, or I'm just saying that's what I think about when I hear pirates.
When is it going to get to a point where I can take a rock and throw it at my neighbor and take his house?
So there's a no. So if you want to get
that triggered something in you, you're like, fuck.
You did. Because I just talked about this on my podcast, Porcupine. Go check it out. I had on Jose Galasano.
When am I going to be on?
Soon, actually, probably.
Okay. Probably He goes, no, probably. That usually means never.
No, because I have so many guests like booked out for this
Yeah, you
show.
got Sam Tripoli on there.
That was but that was like
1 in a million.
it was through a friend.
Okay.
It was through another comic friend. Honestly.
I got you through a friend, and now we became friends.
Yes, we became. Yeah, but he won't. If I DM'd him right now, he probably won't answer me.
What's my nickname?
If I was like, "Yo, Sam, what's up?" He'd probably like, "Fuck."
What's my nickname?
What's your nickname?
You call me something every single time we talk.
Brother Bear?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that mine exclusive, or you hoard that around to everybody? Damn it. God damn it.
Fuck was it? Oh yeah. So there, you said throw a rock and take your neighbor's head. So I had Jose Galison on my podcast, and he's a libertarian, but he doesn't subscribe to like the party itself because it's a joke, and he's right. The party is a joke, and like he does like egoism and all this stuff, and like not to get an agorism, not to get into all that, but like there's a philosophy out there from this guy Sterner from the 1880s, I believe, or maybe early 1900s. He's kind of a commie, this guy Sterner, but he has a point of like his philosophy is like, well, what's property? It's like his. So I don't agree with this, by the way, because it's commie shit. But like his idea kind of is like property is only defined by you holding it.
True.
So if you could take it from somebody, it's yours now.
And on my ass, it says made in China.
Yeah. But that's kind of a Sterner philosophy. That's kind of one of his. It's like, just do it because you want to do it. Who gives a shit? If you could do it, then do it. Like that's like but again, that violates all other things I don't believe in. But that is a type of very left-leaning libertarian philosophy, which is more commie than anything else.
Well, I bring it back to the beginning of what you're talking about, which was, I think if you start acting or creating this idea that it's everywhere, you start seeing it everywhere. It's kind of like when you get a car, for instance, whatever car you get, you see more of that car all around. It's because your brain is now like, this is my car. So whenever you go to your parking lot, you walk outside, you just look for your car. That's your brain now subliminally does that all the time because
when I thought I was going to buy a Jeep, I was looking into getting a Jeep. I saw Jeeps everywhere.
You notice it more.
I mean, they are everywhere. Let's be honest. But like, I mean, when I was really looking for my Jeep, I was like, by the way, I'm getting a Bronco. I even got a Jeep. But like when I was looking for the Jeep, I was like, fuck, I see Jeeps everywhere. Crazy.
So when I think you start looking at all these types of issues that we deal with in society, it highlights that it's there because now your brain's more focused on looking for those types of things, which is necessarily not a bad thing, but it also can be done in the wrong manner. And I think it's kind of like when history, the first books that were created besides religious texts were books about witches. Then not even a couple years later, you started seeing people that were burning people that could potentially be witches, and then eventually,
no one's ever burned for being a witch. It's actually not true. They were actually drowned.
They were drowned, but there were people that would literally just, maybe you had a fight with your wife. Well, she's a witch, and then they would drown her.
Yeah.
So I think
bring
that's
it back.
what's
I say, bring it back. That'd be great. I'd be like,
well, it's happening now. It's happening now. Is the point is that anybody can be labeled a racist or anybody can be labeled these types of things. And I think we're coming towards a little bit of a pushback to it where people are not going to take that shit anymore. And I think that's where it gets more violent. And then it's hard to rationalize that you're not this type of thing when you become so aggressive or so violent. And I think that's your best thing is that when someone calls you a racist, be like, okay, cool, but real quick. And then you would dismiss it, but you would do it in such a way where it's like, hang on, we're going to put a pin in it and come back to it. You never fucking come back to it. And it shuts down their argument.
Yeah. I just don't address it because it's not worth it.
Well, as soon as you start backpedaling when someone calls you racist, you look racist.
So it puts you in a box. That's why it's a great tool to use against somebody, right? If you're trying to be a piece of shit, like, because you go, you're a racist, and then you have two options. You go, no, I'm not, and then you're immediately defending yourself, which makes you sound like a racist anyway.
Now they're on the attacker,
and the initial point's gone now, right? Whatever you're arguing about is gone now because now you're just defending yourself. Or two, you're like, okay, and then they're like, well, now you never defended yourself if you're racist. So it's like either way, you kind of lose out. So the best way to do it is go, cool. I'll talk about this though. Whatever we're talking about, whatever we're talking about.
I'm not even a Trump fan, but I had a guest one time long way back. I think the one I sent you, I told you you're going to get a crack out of this one. The one that said that comedy could never punch down. It should always just punch up.
Right. And I told you why that's stupid as fuck.
Yeah. Well, they also said you never denounced Trump.
Like I never did.
No. When I was talking to them, they said that Trump got brought in And I think it was just this type of thing. Like, we live in this crazy ass Trump world or something like this. Cause I think this is the time before Biden was president, as Trump was president. And she
Right.
goes, but you never denounced them. And I was like, what?
Right. It's, I don't have
I'm
to.
not fucking for them, but why do I have to go back
I
and
don't have
address
to.
that thing? It's like, cause we can't move past if you've never addressed
No, it's
this. I'm like,
bullshit. So
the
there's
fuck?
also that thing and like the fucking Massachusetts LP Libertarian Party just tweeted this out because they're whoever runs that account needs to go. They were like, I think it was them, or it's not enough to be racist. You have to be anti-racist. They go, that's fucking stupid. No, it's actually I don't. I could just be not racist. Thanks. I don't have to say shit. By me not hating other people is enough. I don't have to go out on mic and be like, excuse me. I think it's not. I think black people are cool and you shouldn't be like that's fucking pandering garbage. I
It's
show it by not being racist. That's how I show it.
I'm also conflicted too because I was listening to another Joe Rogan episode and he was talking about transgender thing. And he goes, I know we probably don't have the right to even talk about this. And I'm like, I don't like that either. I think you're supposed to talk about every single topic, but I think there's obviously some people that it affects more. So it doesn't mean you get this say all pass of what you talk about, but to ban a certain topic or to stigmatize a certain topic is only making it never talked about and never getting fixed or never getting more information known about it. I think if you can rationalize or empathize or understand a person's perspective
Correct.
from it, you get to learn a little bit more about it. I've had a transgender person on the podcast around like my beginning episodes when I was doing these in person. They got the top surgery, they got all that type of stuff. And it was actually one of the people I could relate to the most because I'm body dysmorphic. So not being able to look into a mirror and like what you see is something I know about, or feel uncomfortable in your own skin. I know what that feels like. I think a lot of people can rationalize that, much like if you wear a shirt that's too tight, you can feel your stomach or whatever. It's upsetting, but that's something you can rationalize with them, which only expands the conversation to understand their perspective and their viewpoint more. But when someone goes, well, I don't even have the right to talk about this, like us even talk about racial stuff, people go, well, you're white. It's like, hang on a fucking second. Like, you can't just discern that. You can't just do that. Thoughts are thoughts and they have rational points to all of them, but it's about understanding someone's perspective and reality. I'm not down for shutting down speech, especially if it's on the basis of ethnicity or any types of things. Now, there are some that it affects more than others, 100%. But I think that words are supposed to be talked about. These debates aren't supposed to be debates. They're supposed to be conversational tools to help understand each other's brain. That's why I like the one-on-one shit. I hate doing doubles and all this type of shit. I want it just to be a free flow, natural, whatever comes to your mind. Whatever this topic of this podcast episode is because we willed it in here. It was in our thoughts. It's something that we always think about, or something that gets brought to this point. It's something we're probably harboring on at the time this was recorded. And I think that's important to highlight, is that you can't take away any speech, sadly. It all goes back to free speech. I'm
I
not
agree
happy.
because here's the truth. At the end of the day, words are just words at the end of the day, and yeah, they could be hurtful, but that doesn't really matter. It's just words.
But I don't like it when some people get to choose that you're a certain type of thing on the basis of the words that you say, or someone will use other words that are actually more harmful, but they'll say that you can't say those, like they
No, I
have the
agree.
power keys.
Well,
I'm
I
like,
saw. I mean, again, because it's public perception, right? Like I saw a pretty interesting video the other day, and I don't know what it was from. It was like some sort of news panel, and there was a white guy on it and a black guy on it, and a few other people. But the white guy's like, "Well, how come I can't? You know, we can't say the N word, but like he's like, you know, rappers could rap it." And the black guy's like, "Say it." He's like, "Well, I don't want to say it." He's like, "No, it sounds like you do." He's like, "Say it right now." He's like, "No one's stopping you. Say it." He's like, "Why won't you say it?" And then the video ended. But it's like, I know the point where it's going is like he's saying, he's like, there's no losses. You can't say the word. But you know, he's like, if you do say this word, you might take a fucking beating. But that's okay because that's how language works. There's consequences to your actions, right? So like there shouldn't be any legal ramifications for what you say. There shouldn't be any like job ramifications for what you say. But we're dudes, you and I. So this is the dude thing that we can relate to, where my wife could say whatever the fuck she wants to most people because she's a chick and no one's gonna hit her. Right? You're usually not gonna hit a woman. I don't mean to me. I mean to like like she doesn't do this, but I'm saying if my wife wanted to one day, let's say we're in a store and she wanted to spout off to a stranger because she like a dude cut her off, she probably could because she has no consequence. It's like the Bill Burr joke, right? She has no consequence to getting fucking hit. You and I know, though, as men,
get
if I
elbowed.
spout my fucking mouth off to a guy, there's a good chance that guy might try to fuck me up. Right? So now extrapolate that out to just saying the N word or saying whatever. He's like, yeah, I could say it. But I know a black guy or someone else might, even one of the white guy might not like what I say and might fucking try to hit me, which that's a consequence I have to take. Right now, again, I don't want to say it, but I'm just using in this example of the video I saw. But that's how it should be, if anything. Hey, if you don't like what you say with somebody else and they want to fight you, okay, well, that's fine, I guess. I mean, you shouldn't, because it's just words. But like, you have to expect it, is my point.
But you can't hold that power when it comes to a fact of somebody can't talk about a certain thing because
I
they're
agree.
not of that thing.
I totally agree. I'm just saying though, like you have to understand. Again, I'm not even saying I agree with the consequences. I'm just saying
it's Dave Chappelle's joke. If you have the right to keep it, then I have the right to leave.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because how many times does someone say, well, no, because you don't get a say because it's the woman's body? That's 100% true. But it's also, is it not part of that person as well too? It's not a part of the mom and dad. It's better to get into the abortion topic. I think everyone has their own line of abortion. But I know I'm not going to dive into it, but I think there's just this thing where it's so easy to dismiss somebody because it's not happening to them rather than just talking it out. I think there's valid points, especially when it comes to that is a factor of the man and a woman that both develop these types of things. But to say that someone's opinion doesn't matter, and I think that's with everything. I don't like that. I think everybody's opinion matters. Now, some has more, like if you're talking about trans things, me and you have opinions on it, sure. But it's not going to mean more coming from us than it would if it came from a person who is transgender, who does suffer with something from like this. They have more impact to the things they say.
Hold on. I guess See, I guess it depends on the topic of like what about trans you're talking about.
Sports, not sports.
Okay, well, there you go.
But when it comes to like surgery, for instance.
Sure, that's fair.
Now, I've researched into this topic, and people are like, well, I don't think a kid at 4 or 5 should be taking hormonal
Agreed.
things. That doesn't happen, though. When it does happen is when they start hitting puberty, which is the issue that always gets usually brought up, is the fact that some people hit puberty at different ages. The lowest that has ever been given to was a 12-year-old who was at like 6 foot or something like that. I looked into all this.
That's still child abuse.
I understand that, but the issue then becomes the factor of like the kid that sued his dad when he was 17 years old for not letting him transition or transgender, and now the dad went to jail.
That's crazy.
That happened in Canada though. But
Canada's a fucking commie shithole. I'm saying fucking Canada.
That's it. You got to look at these countries. You got to look at that's a possibility over here as well too, depending on where you go.
I know, but that's crazy shit. This is what I'm saying. This is why it is important for us to speak up about this stuff, because like, okay, going back to the whole Sterner philosophy, right? Going back to that philosophy, it's like, well, a child is a parent's property. So if they want to give their child hormone blockers at 10, 12, well, then that's their right to. Well, that same philosophy says, well, if I think it's child abuse, I get to beat the shit out of that parent, but the consequences follow me. You see what I'm saying? Again, well, it's that because I think what you're doing, if you do that, is child abuse, and you should be fucking killed because you're abusing your fucking kid. I think you should at least beat the shit out of something. The fact that we're doing this to children, and it's like, well, it's because of woke bullshit. Fuck you. Know what they never want to talk about? How many fucking people transition and then kill themselves because they go, fuck, this is what I wanted.
Yeah, transgenderregret.com is an actual website where people voice their opinions.
Yeah. So shut the fuck up. Stop lying to these fucking kids. How about talk to them? Once you're 18, dude, go nuts. Cut it all the fuck off. Put it all the fuck on. I don't really give a fuck what you do. I truly do not give a shit.
I think people can do whatever the fuck they want when they're adult. They can drink. They can do whatever the hell they're gonna have sex.
You want.
If they
Go crazy. Go crazy. If you're 15, 12, you should be fucking dragged outside and fucking shot into your fucking head for doing that to your child.
just think you don't understand who you are, and some people might feel like that. And if they still feel that way when they become 18, then go ahead and do it.
Go nuts. Go crazy. Don't care.
But I think the issue is that if you're for that side, like I'm going to give my kid whatever hormone blockers at the age of whatever they're hitting puberty. But then if you say no, everyone's against you. It's like everyone only is with you because you're agreeing with it. And then when you don't side with their opinion, it's not like they really care anyway.
Cool. Well, I care. I would actually care about my child's life. I'm gonna hold off on those blockers. Thanks. It's that simple. Like the abortion thing. It's like my position has changed over the years. Do
you want to talk about this topic? I'm just making sure.
No, it's not really talking about it. It's just a quick how I viewed it. Okay. It's more of a people aren't honest. We were sticking on the theme.
You can't wait till the last minute. That's bullshit.
Yeah, of course. Of course. No, but like
There are
my
some
view
people
is,
like it's about to be due tomorrow. I need it out. It's like, no, hang on a fucking second, buddy.
of course, dude. No. I'm talking about like when I was always kind of pro-choice, but to a limit. Where I was like, there should be like a 2 month mark, and then like no after that, right?
Yeah.
As I got older, I'm kind of just against the idea of it now, totally. Because like you are killing a human life, like you are. Here's the part that gets me bummed out.
Wait,
But
even
not
if it's
bummed
like a
out.
bunch of cells that you can
Yeah,
take out with a turkey baster.
I still think it is. I now as I get older, I do, and I'm not religious, by the way. This isn't from a religious
I know,
standpoint.
but this is like the I think the trending times now. This has always commonly been a thing. Like in Fast Mount at Ridgemont High, he goes, my brother got one of those abortions, and he was they joke about that in the movie
No,
because it was just so
I
normal back then.
understand the even sound, but like it's like 3 weeks, and like there's like fingernails and shit. Like it's fucking pretty quick, dude. Like I don't know if it's something quick, but like
I'll say,
I don't know,
isn't the
dude.
heart
I
developed
just think
first?
like there's adoptions available. Like I don't know. There's other things you could do. Not kill it.
Yeah, it's a sketchy
But
subject.
my
I think
point is my point I'm getting to is the hypocrisy of like, remember like back in the 80s, it was supposed to be like abortion, the push for abortion to legalize it was like rare but safe, or safe but rare, whatever the fuck, right? As a point was like, let's not celebrate this. This is a fucking supposed to be a very serious thing. Now you go on TikToks, and I don't want to hear shit about people telling me I'm wrong. I fucking seen them. There's fucking these dumb woke lefty chicks who are like, I got my 5th abortion this year and I couldn't be happier. It's like, fuck this it's like, and they're serious. It's not a joke.
that's not
These are
funny.
real accounts.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I'm supposed to be like, go, queen. I'm supposed to celebrate this. You're murdering. You're a murderer.
Yeah.
You're a murderer. Sorry. And so it's like, I think, yes, if you get raped, which by the way, this almost never happens, but like if you get raped, and not the rapes happen all the time. If you get pregnant from rape, yeah, I could 100% understand why you would want an abortion.
Yeah.
It's just everything outside of that. There's outside of rapes, I mean,
I see. I'm more in the concept right now is like, I want people to understand this doesn't just happen in the States. This happens fucking everywhere. And just what you just said, Yeomi Park talked about, like, that was a thing. What would happen is if you got pregnant in North Korea and the guy didn't want it, they would just throw you on the ground and kick the baby out of you. That's a common thing they do over there.
Cool.
That's not cool. But
Yeah.
this is not like an issue that we only suffer over here. I think a lot of what happens is everyone thinks that America is this thing that needs change because it's the only country that's fucked up. And I'm like, no, everybody's got their own issues. And the issue is that Americans are focused on their own fucking issues in their own country, not when it comes to their own personal lives. Everybody else wants to be involved in everybody else's fucking life. But every country is not focused on the issues that are happening in their country. They're focused on the issues that happen over here because we are on the main news source of entertainment or whatever the hell you want to call it. That it's always on the television. And there are some few people, like I have my buddy in Canada, Brian, who talks about a lot of the shit that goes on in fucking Canada that he's fucking upset with. And it's crazy. I mean, what vaccination rates are going? Well, we have over 50-something% of people that are vaccinated, but yet the numbers still fucking keep climbing up. So I'm wondering when people are going to wake the fuck up to like, hey, are you not paying attention to real shit? Or are you just on a side and you don't ever want to move from it? America's not a bad place. It definitely needs some change, but every country has their issues and we need to start dealing with them instead of just pushing blame on someone else's side. You need to start fucking standing up and doing something about it.
Yeah, my buddy Josh Cybulski, he's on the Porcupine a few episodes ago. Shout out Josh. He's Canadian, hates it, and he has to come here for surgery because their healthcare system's so bad.
It's terrible.
Yeah, but people don't want to ever admit that either or understand. I'm like, no, it's great. Again, free healthcare. Yeah. Those countries, it's great for if you break your leg. And I don't mean like a serious break. Like you just break your leg, break your arm, you go into the ER, like here's patched up. You're like, thanks, man. That's great. It's great for that. Anything outside of that, come here.
Yeah.
Because like, if you have, how many people die of cancer in Canada because they can't get a fucking appointment?
Probably a lot.
Like they have to, like, let's say you live in Toronto and you find out you have cancer. You have to call a cancer place and they go, okay, cool. Well, we're only in Ottawa. Sorry, I know it's like a 6-hour drive or whatever the fuck it is for you, but and you could come in October. Oh, I know it's January. But universal medicine.
We're gonna wrap it up here in a minute because we're head up on the 2 hour mark. But what I do want to highlight is a factor of every country has their issues. We're not subjected to just all the only country with all the issues in the world, but you can't take the blame out and just always blame America. You can't just blame other people. You need to understand that you need to, as people, I do too, we all do, we need to be more understanding and a lot of other viewpoints and have more civil discussions to be able to address that we're all sided against each other in a way that we shouldn't be sided against each other. We should be sided against one thing, and that is to make sure
The
that our
state.
government does not become this type of thing that ends up manipulating us in so many factors. And it happens so easily. It's like when I watch a kid and I tell them we're going to the store. I don't want to go to the store. Well, I'll get you something. And then we just fucking run with it. That's exactly what happens with our government and us.
The true answer is secession.
True.
Peaceful secession, not violent, obviously, but like, there's nothing in the Constitution that says we can't secede from the government. They won't let us. That's that's the truth. So New Hampshire just introduced a bill into their legislature to secede from the United States.
Every country is going to end up, I mean, not every country, every state's going to end up wanting to do its own thing.
And if it won't pass, but let's say it did, the federal government will send in the military to physically stop them. They won't let them peacefully leave. Do you hear how crazy that sounds?
Yeah, because it's like if your arm decided to do its own thing, you're not going to be happy with it.
Which off air, if you want to get into like some shit,
I don't.
We'll get into some shit off air about the Civil War. That's some crazy shit.
What, the Marvel movie?
Yes.
Get it? Disney. Shout out to Brandon. That's his conspiracy. But Adam, where can people find you, man? We're wrapping up on that 2 hour.
Yeah, at Adam Nutter, all that stuff. Download Cult of Us, download the Porcupine. They're fun. Well, the Cult of Us is comedy, Porcupine's libertarian stuff and politics, and I'll keep that fun too. I try to be funny on that too. But come on, listen to those. Follow me on social media and
His
come
political
out
shits on my show.
come on out to my shows, my stand-up stuff, which I don't talk about politics at all. So come on out. All my dates are out there. I got stuff coming up this Thursday, and I'll be in Virginia. I'll be in Texas. Come on out.
Okay. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me, as always.
I love you.
I love you too.
Thanks everybody for listening.